Are we up here? All right. Well, welcome. Good afternoon. As Eric said, I'm Sue Apkon. I'm a pediatric rehabilitation physician from Children's Hospital, Colorado. Some of you may not interact with rehabilitation physicians, so I'll tell you just briefly about what I do and maybe why I'm here with this esteemed panel. Pediatric rehab physicians focus a lot on quality of life. We focus on making sure kids are doing what kids should be doing, or adults are doing what adults should be doing. And figuring out, in the context of someone's underlying medical condition, how we can make that happen. And adapting life in the setting of having Duchenne is sometimes necessary in order to be able to do those activities that you as an individual, or you as a parent, or you as a family want to do. The title of this talk is Enhancing Social Experiences. And as I think about this, really, as you think about what you're hearing from our panel today, you may realize that at different ages and at different stages, there are different social opportunities, different social experiences. Even within the same age or stage, kids or adults like different things. And so one of the points that I think you'll hear, or what we'll reiterate, is that making sure that people are doing what they want to do, what gives them joy, what brings them satisfaction, either as an individual or as a family. As I think about the different experiences or opportunities, I kind of break them into three categories, and there's probably many more, but for me, the categories might include school, family, and community, and the social opportunities within those different areas. So from a school perspective, friends, right? You go to school, you go to learn, but you also learn about how to be a human being, how to interact with other people. And so those relationships in school are so very important. And then the extracurriculars within school are incredibly important. I played soccer, I was in the band. Those are two experiences that helped me to grow and develop as a young person. And so thinking about those extracurriculars. From a family perspective, I think about interaction with your family members, your siblings. I think about travel as one of those social experiences or opportunities that are so very important for that family network. And then I think about community, Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. If you participate in religious activities, church, synagogue, or mosque, sports activities. Sports activities for littles might look different from those who are bigger, but sports activities for some are super important, and we want to figure out how we can make that happen. And then finally, non-sport activities. So theater, art, music, those are other extracurriculars or activities that enhance social networking. What I'd like to do, having kind of given that preference, is to have each of our panelists introduce themselves, maybe give a couple of words about who you are and what you do. And then my job is to actually hand it over to them and let them take the lead. They have a video to share, and I think they all, each individually, have some amazing experiences and stories to share. So Jason, you want to?
Hi, my name is Jason Vertin. My wife Betty and I have 7 children, 3 boys with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Max, Rowan, and Charlie. They range 18, 15, and 13 years old.
Hello, my name is Andrea Colucci, and I am a therapeutic recreation specialist, and I am the program manager for the adaptive recreation program at Children's Hospital, Colorado. So I have the amazing job to provide a variety of adaptive sports and recreation experiences for kids and young adults with physical disabilities, including neuromuscular disorders and Duchenne.
Hi everyone, my name is Tina Duong. I'm a physical therapist as well as researcher, but more enthusiast of adapting anything to allow people to engage with their community. And I believe if there's a will, there's a way. So as a physical therapist, I think one of my most important jobs is to be creative to ensure that everyone can be engaged in their community and activities of their interest.
And my name is Adith Thumallapali. I'm 26 years old, living with Duchenne, And like any other 26-year-old, I like to think I have a pretty active social life. I've never let having Duchenne stop me from doing the things I want to do. I do pretty much the same stuff as any 26-year-old. So I'll be talking about that in a little bit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. You can see DeAnne Friar's name up, and she wasn't able to join us today. We will start with a video and see if we can make that happen.
Oh, God.
That was awesome. That was the first time I saw that video, and really just, I think, says it all, right? The possibilities are unlimited. Dare to dream about what you want to do, and maybe you'll do it a little bit differently, but you have the ability to do the things that you want to do. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jason, let you kick it off, and then we'll have others join.
Thank you. Our message from the Vertin household is, we have 7 kids. Our oldest is 23. Our youngest is 2.5. But when we found out Max was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, as you all know, your life kind of gets flipped upside down. So when you thought that you were going to be able to play catch in the backyard, or your son was going to be the star football player or basketball player, that kind of flips upside down on you a little bit. But I can't stress enough to tell you is keep fighting and get them involved. Max, for instance, he even if he didn't have Duchenne, I don't think he would have been an athlete. He doesn't care anything about sports. The kid loves to sing, he loves the theater, and he gets involved with that. Now, it's hard work because you have to make adaptations. You got to be able to be involved as a parent. I can't say that enough. You have to be involved as a parent, all right? And you have to be flexible and being able to bend your mind to be able to help them achieve what they want to do. Rowan, he's the exact opposite of Max. He could care less about music and theater, and he's all about sports. He can recite every statistic you want to know about baseball and basketball and football, but he obviously can't play, but he's a broadcaster. So he does the local radio stuff for the high school there. And then Charlie, he's kind of the same realm, but he's student manager. So sometimes that means they can't ride on the bus because they don't have a lift for the bus, and so we follow behind the bus, sometimes take kids. But being able to enable them to be able to do something on their own and enjoy their peers is very, very important in my opinion.
Great, thank you.
Great. So as I mentioned, we have an adaptive recreation program at Children's. And so through our programs, we provide a variety of experiences from adaptive skiing to indoor rock climbing, golfing and fishing. And what's great about adaptive and inclusive programs is that they cater to the needs of each individual. So whether it's just taking breaks during the golf activity, or you need specialized adaptive equipment when you're skiing, there's just so many adaptations that are out there. And so if you can find adaptive and inclusive programs in your area, that's great. But we know that sometimes that doesn't always exist. So we'll sometimes have families who come to us and their child or their young adult will have goals to improve on their physical abilities and have more endurance, or they want to get stronger, or often what we see is kids just want to make friends. They just want to meet somebody who's like them. They want to have a chance at, connecting it with peers at school. And we've found that in our programs. We've had a few kids who've done our adaptive skiing program, and then we hear hey, I was able to contribute to the conversation at the lunch table. I go to the same ski hill that my buddies do, and we were able to talk about going on some of the same runs. And they were interested in how I ski, and they're going to come up next weekend, or I'm going to see them when we're up at the mountain. So it just provides that bridge to, we have common interests, and we see that in schools, we see that in our programs. We've seen families who connect with each other at our programs, and maybe they'll connect and they'll go off and they'll meet up at the golf course the next weekend together and continue to go. So what I do want to share is just a couple of ways that you can access resources in your community if you're not sure where to start. So the first step I always encourage people to take is to connect with your physicians and your providers at your rehab hospital and see what ideas and programs that they have and what they know of. And that's a good starting point. If they have a recreational therapist on staff, I highly encourage you to be able to connect with them. Rec therapists have a background in being able to help navigate recreation and leisure barriers, and helping you as a family identify what is your child's goal, what are they hoping to accomplish and do. And then that really helps set the tone for, okay, this is an activity that's meaningful to me, and I want to do it, and I can apply some of those physical therapy goals that we know kids don't often always enjoy, but is it working on transfers? Hey, I need to be able to transfer into a sit ski, or I need to be able to do this skill. So I think that's a nice crossover as well. But so starting at your rehab hospitals, if you're able to just connect and find out what programs exist, get some ideas there, and then expanding out. So what do your city recreation centers offer? Do they have social programs? Often we see in our area there's bowling nights or movie nights or dances if you're into that, but different opportunities for people to come together and have those shared social experiences. It's great because oftentimes siblings are welcome to come, so as Dr. Apkon, you had mentioned, being able to recreate as a family is very important. And then I was looking at the PPMD resource website and the Muscular Dystrophy Association. They have great community resources for summer camp, which is really cool, and that's a great opportunity to be able to participate in a variety of activities, but also just to meet kids who may have a similar diagnosis, be away from home, practice independence. I know those summer camps are often staffed with caregivers and one-on-one support. nursing team, health team. So looking into summer camp opportunities is great. And then doing a search in your area for, my kid is interested in rock climbing. Are there any programs that exist near me? Just doing a local search. And then beyond that, MoveUnited.org. Move United is a great organization. They have a website where you can filter by zip code, but also by state to see what adaptive sports programs are near you. So you could see the organization, and it lists everything that they offer from somebody mentioned sailing, and there was adaptive scuba this morning, bocce ball, adaptive skiing. So those are just a couple of ideas on where to get started too.
Great. Thanks, Andrea.
Well, so you guys have heard about adaptive sports by many people today, so I somehow have to pivot. So I'm going to pivot to feelings. And so I kind of want to give my experience being a physiotherapist and one that may like some sports, and how it has made me feel to be engaged, to encourage families to do this, because I have just seeing the exhilaration of being able to have community. As Sue was saying, how does sports bring this sense of family and community, and even mental health? There's other aspects to quality of life besides just motor function. And as a physical therapist, sometimes that's just, we get so tunnel vision on, does this make you better? Does this increase your strength? Does this increase your aerobic capacity? And what has inspired me to study that a little bit more is because the more we can publish that this is beneficial, it improves access, right? And so one of the things we looked at is doing something like adaptive sports. Does that increase your aerobic capacity? Does it make you fitter? And what we found was yes. And so that's really incredible because, one, you get payers to be able to buy adaptive equipment, adaptive trikes, and the more evidence we have, the more that we can provide this and decrease that inequity or that gap between, people who are able to do it without adaptations versus how do we get access to this adaptation. And as a clinician, we have to write these dual medical equipment letters. So the more information we have, the less fight that we have with people that this is, people as in payers, it's a quality of life issue, right? And one of the things that a young man that did the ski race in Utah, he was a boy with Duchenne, scared me to death because I'm an adult learner for skiing. And the first day I went skiing with him, I was still, barely not falling down a hill. And he, of course, goes, I want to go down the trees. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to die. It was amazing because this guy ended up winning the ski race in March. And something he said was really, really cool because he said, I have Duchenne, but the one thing, I keep getting worse at everything, but the one thing I can get better at is skiing. And so that is such a feeling of accomplishment that I feel like it's incredible. On top of it, family. His family were big skiers. They found out he had Duchenne, and they quit skiing. So some of the older kids didn't ski, right? And so when they found adaptive skiing, now the whole family skis together. These are just engagements that, I don't typically see. Adaptive sports allows that team and socialization that happens for kids who are able to be a part of PE. And so they're not doing independent tasks. These are skills that are really important for life, for your professional life, for your career, to work with your colleagues and friends. And so those are one of the things as me as an advocate where I feel exhilarated and I'm inspired by the young men like Adith because they're the reason why we need to keep fighting because adaptive sports really is not just about an experience. It's about a quality of life and a health reason that we all should be promoting throughout a physical, to promote physical activity throughout the lifespan.
Yeah, and to go along with the points everyone has made, socializing is part of being human. It's part of quality of life. And that's one of the big things for, guys like me, living with Duchenne, Becker, even manifesting carriers, everyone. Quality of life is very important to us. And I never let having a disability stop me from doing the things I wanted to do. In middle school, I wanted to be in the marching band, so I was. My band teacher helped me figure out a way to attach a snare drum to my manual wheelchair, and my mom pushed me in parades, and I played the drums while marching in parades. In high school, I was the first person in that band ever who used a wheelchair, and we just made it work. I joined the robotics team in high school. I was the first person, wheelchair user, to do that. I played adaptive bocce in high school. In college, I went out with my friends. I went to parties. I was part of an organization that their party every year at the end of the year was in a loft area up a flight of stairs. And I never let that stop me from going to that party. Like, my friends dragged me up that flight of stairs, then 6 of them grabbed my chair and dragged my chair up the flight of stairs. Getting back down was a little more dicey, especially, later in my college years when all of my friends were over 21. They started, drinking. So a bunch of drunk people carrying my chair back down the stairs. That was terrifying. But we made it work, and that wasn't like an adaptive activity. It was a regular activity that I adapted. And in college, I started doing stand-up comedy. And, I really loved that. And I always tell people, I don't do that to make other people laugh. I do it to amuse myself. And then if other people laugh, that's a bonus, So it's all about, and I go to comedy shows, I go to concerts, and I'm not the only one. My friends on the pack do very similar things. I'm gonna call some of you out by name, just so you know. Like my friend Elliot, he's in the band. He plays band in college, and he plays the synth. Then he's really good at it. 2 of my friends, Jack, Kyle, they play power soccer. They made it to nationals this year. One of my friends, Ravi, he travels with his PCA, without his family, just him and his PCA. And he's made that work. He goes to Bills games. I don't know why, but... And there's plenty of my friends who go to sports games. One of my friends who wasn't able to make it to this conference in person, Tyus, he's at a baseball game pretty much every weekend. So we make it work. If it's something you really want to do, and if there's no adaptive option out there, we take it and we make it adaptive. We could be the very first person to do it. All of these adaptive sports, at one point, they never existed. It took someone who was willing to look at an activity and say, okay, how can we make this inclusive for everybody? And who knows, someone in this room could be the next person to make a currently unadaptive activity adaptive. Who's to say we can't go up into space one day? Who's to say we can't, go, climb a mountain? Like, people have done it. People do it. And what works for some people may not work for others. It's all about, wanting to do things, wanting to get out of your house and actually go do activities with people. And we make it work. Somehow, some way, there's a solution for everything. And, I strongly believe that. I have a degree in engineering, and I think, the way I think is that for every problem, there's multiple solutions, and different solutions work for different people. You just need to figure out what works for you. So if there's something you want to do, don't let your disability stop you. And these days there's a lot of things you can do virtually. Every week I play Dungeons and Dragons online with my friends, and it's really great. It's a great way to socialize. It's a great way to hang out. Just doing stuff that you love, doing stuff that you want to do. And then you'll meet people who also like those same things. And that's how you make friends, that's how you form connections, which again is important for quality of life for everybody, not just, people like us.
Adith, thank you. Adith, thank you so much. I have a follow-up question, actually for everyone. I'm going to start with you, though, then Jason, I have one for you. So I don't know your family, Adith, but very clearly they had to be behind you as you navigated this. Maybe it was you who initiated it, or perhaps they helped kind of push you along. There's a room full of young people here with Duchenne or Becker. There's also a lot of you who are parents or grandparents or caregivers. So could you offer a few pieces of advice now for the caregivers? So I'm going to give you a concrete example. I sit in clinic and I tell a family in the summer, you got to enroll your kid in a summer camp. I don't care if it's overnight, day camp, this is wonderful. These are the opportunities. And I get this blank, sometimes fearful look. And the parent, I could just sort of see the wheels turning. And in their mind, it feels like they're saying, I can't let my kid go. Who's going to watch over them? So can you talk a little bit about how you got involved or what your parents, your family did to make that happen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my parents and my younger brother are a huge reason that I was able to do the things that I love to do. They always supported me. I don't think I've ever heard them say, I would tell them, I want to do this. And the answer was never, no, you can't. The answer was, okay, let's figure out how. You said, this is what you want to do. Let's all work together and figure out how we're going to make it work. And on the topic of sleepaway camp, I went to MDA camp for years when I was a kid. And, seeing the things that my friends, my peers went through, we were still able to have a good time. We still did everything you would do at normal sleepaway camp. We stayed up late. We played pranks on the counselors. We rode in a speedboat until someone got himself hurt and got that taken away for everyone. Yeah, get 3 guesses who. But yeah, I would say to the parents in the room, don't try to protect your kid from the world. Let them go out there and experience the world. And you be there in case, they struggle, in case they want to do something and they're like, oh, this is too hard. I want to throw in the towel. No, you be there as their parents and you push them and you say, okay, let's figure out how we're going to make this work. Don't look at the things that kids want to do and be apprehensive about it. Support them. And I know it's scary. I know it's terrifying. But I think parents feel that way about any of their kids. I don't think any parent wants to let their kids, out into the world, because the world is a scary place. But I think my biggest word of advice would be, don't be afraid. If your kid isn't afraid, you shouldn't be either. Help them figure out how they can make it work. Help them figure out what they can do, how they can interact with people, how they can be social. Both of my parents are very social people. And, I think I learned from them that having a support system, having really good friends is really important just to have a great life. One of my dad's really good friends is literally in the audience right now. I can see them. My mom's videotaping me right now. My point is, to the parents, don't be afraid to let your kids do things. Don't be afraid to let them take chances and mess up, because they are going to mess up. Everyone did. But yeah, it's all about support.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Jason? Before I ask my question to you, Jason, anything to add, or as Adith was talking, anything that you could reflect on?
You know, he made so many good points, but I think the one thing that as parents, be fearless. Be fearless. Don't care what other people think. Don't care what it looks like. Do what's right for you and your family and your kids, because it's going to be messy. I promise you. It's not going to be the same way for every kid, but don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to get your children involved with whatever they want to do. Just find a way. So be fearless in that pursuit of happiness and to get your kid involved and do things.
Thanks. I have the privilege of knowing your three kids, well, actually all your kids, but the three with Duchenne, and they are very different. I'm a concrete thinker, so I'm going to ask you if you can, you said sometimes it gets dirty. Be fearless. It can be dirty sometimes. It's hard. Can you give some concrete examples maybe of things that you had to navigate, some barriers, whether it was with Max and his music and theater or the other two with sports?
Yeah, I mean, it's like for Max in theater, he does show choir, and if you're not familiar with it, they go out and they go to different high schools on the weekends and they perform and compete against each other. And you would think that every school's the same and has the appropriate accommodations for your children, but that's just not the case. So, there's a lot of like Paul Johnson and I were talking about this, there's a lot of phone calls the previous week before you go to that school to make sure that there is a ramp to the stage or that there is ability to get on the stage. Then is there a restroom that's, will work for him as well? And then you look at medications that could possibly be taken that have to be, administered during the day. So there's just a lot of planning, I think, that goes involved with it. And it just looks different every week. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to adapt and just go with the flow. Because I think so many times, at least at my family, is we try to plan everything, right? Because we don't have control of Duchenne. So we want control of something, right? But the reality is when you're out in the world, you've got to be able to adapt. And it's going to look different, and it's not always going to look the way you thought it was going to.
Great. Thank you. Andrea, thank you so much for providing the different resources to help families get started. Sometimes the adaptive sports can be expensive, or the equipment. I think about the power wheelchairs for power soccer as an example. Can you talk a little bit about whether there are some resources that people can tap into, or how to find those resources that might help defray some of the costs?
Yeah, so a lot of the the bigger adaptive sports programs that do exist, they do have funding and scholarship opportunities. If you ask, or it may be on their website. In Colorado, I'm thinking of the National Sports Center for the Disabled. So ski lessons are very expensive, but if you inquire and fill out a scholarship form, that's always an option. When it comes to resources, I think Move United, if you sign up for their program, it's free. You create an account, and they often send out different scholarships and grant funding opportunities. So this one might be for youth who are under 15 who are looking for support with program costs, and it might be a $500 grant that you can apply towards the rock climbing gym or adaptive ski lessons or theater, whatever it may be. And then there's also different organizations like Challenged Athletes Foundation. So if you're looking for equipment that's a little bit more specialized and expensive, whether it's a sit ski, an adaptive sports wheelchair, you can apply. I think if you're under 18, I think you can apply, oh gosh, somebody else might know, but I think you can apply, I want to say annually, or every couple of years for a new piece of, is it annually? Yeah, okay. You can apply each year for a piece of adaptive sports equipment, and then as you get older and you stop growing so much, it's still a resource, but it just isn't as often. So those are just a couple of ideas, but I think if you can find a program that's adaptive or inclusive, oftentimes they want to support and remove barriers from participation. So just inquiring if they have any scholarship forms or if there's anything like that that might exist.
Great, thanks. All right, Tina, so here's a hard one for you. So everyone has a lot on their plate, right? Like families have a lot going on. Parents might be working, kids are in school, there's therapy appointments, there's doctor appointments, and now here we are saying get involved with the theater or music or sports. So talk to us a little bit about how you think about therapy services and when you're sort of balancing, if you have an extra hour, is it going to a therapy session or is it going to play power soccer or is it both? Like, can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. I think initially, whenever someone's diagnosed with Duchenne or Becker, the immediate thing is, I need to do as much therapy as possible. And if you've ever talked to me, I was like, yeah, let's just hold back and let's see what the prioritization is. So what's your family dynamic? What does your family do? And that should be part of the conversation first. And so therapy is important, but you don't want therapy for the rest of your life. That's the 1980s thing. You know, we're now in the 2020s or something. I never know the year. But it's more like a therapy as needed, because most of the things that are going to improve are something you have to do consistently. And so if you're going to go to therapy to learn how to do a sport, say I want to go horseback riding, what are the concerns I have about horseback riding? And then for me as a physical therapist, I break down this task and think, okay, I don't want muscle breakdown, so maybe it's, I don't ride horses, so I don't know. But you know, the part where you get up, or maybe there shouldn't be any trotting. This is the kind of advice that physical therapists could give, or give a home exercise program. I have some pain. I feel tightness. A program should be then implemented within the family, right? And then sports should be, or whatever activity it is, should be prioritized over constant therapy. Or therapy be integrated into your life, such as school. Should your child be taken out of school to do stretches? I would say no, because part of it is integration into school. The therapist should be adapting the sport or adapting the classroom so that your child can be most engaged. And so I say it's based on the need, when you need it for your family, rather than life evolving around therapy. So, I mean, I know I probably shouldn't say that I am a therapist, but I would say I also don't want kids to hate me because all they have to do is see me all the time. And so I think it's important first to have that quality of life, because do what you love and that quality of life will come. Otherwise, few of us are gym rats, and so I would say.
I'm smiling because I feel the same way, and we didn't talk about this, and I didn't plant that sort of answer, but it's nice to hear that consistent message. So I'm gonna open it up to questions. So if anybody has any questions, but as we take questions, I want each of you, because in our final minute or two, in one sentence, summing up this idea of, I have to now look back at the title, of enhancing social experiences, right? So if you could give one sentence, one piece of advice, one lesson learned, you guys think about that, and then I would love to take some questions. Yes. There's a mic right back there if you want to. Oh, it looks like someone else. Do you want to ask that first question? The woman at the mic?
Could you say, for a 26-year-old friend there, could you say just a little something about girls?
Sure, I can. Sure, I can. So, I mean, when I was in college, I did go on dates with people. I did, you know, I don't know if my parents want to hear this, but they probably do, because I won't tell them otherwise. But yeah, I mean, it's the same as like making friends. It's just, you know, one more step, like asking people if they want to go on a date with you. And you can do anything on a date. You know, you don't need to do the traditional, okay, let's go out to dinner, let's go walk on the beach, because like going on a walk on the beach is not going to work. So you can really, you know, do anything with people that share similar interests. So I would say, you know, don't let having a disability stop you. You're just, you know, a normal person, just with an extra like condition we have to deal with. Everybody has something they're dealing with. Duchenne just happens to be visible, and you know, it's just one of the challenges. There's people out there with even worse challenges sometimes. So I would say, you know, don't let it stop you.
I mean, I would like to add to that, because I mean, I think I used to hold a session with Pat Motion on relationships, and it was a closed door session, so we heard things. But the really take home message was everybody's fear was the same fear as I had or have had dating. I shouldn't expose anything. But it's the fear of confidence, you know, going up to someone. And I have to say that sports, engaging in team sports and all this thing provides the confidence for you to ask a girl out. It doesn't matter if you're in a chair or you're out of a chair. Asking anyone out is scary, you know? And so these are the confidence tools that you get whenever you accomplish something via adaptive sports or, you know, other things.
And I just want to make the point, I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always extroverted. I wasn't always confident. When I was like in middle school, I mean, ask my parents. When I was in 6th grade, I would barely open my mouth. I would sit in the corner and be like, nobody talk to me, please don't look at me, don't anything. And, you know, now I literally go up on stage and tell jokes to people. So, you know, just because you might not feel confident or extroverted or very social now, that can change.
Tina mentioned the PAC, and I think I would put a plug in for the PAC, which I know, Adith, you're one of the members of, but I think that that's a nice opportunity to have these shared experiences, and it runs constantly over the course of the year, and so if you are a young person who sort of has some of these questions and you want to sort of get some advice from someone who has a lived experience, the PAC, I think, is a great opportunity. So I see a question up here.
So I have a comment, a recommendation, and a question. It was mentioned, you know, the interest in activity, but ending up, you know, sort of a manager of things. So I went to college, and we were in an agriculture class, so obviously I got dig in the dirt, so I was recording all my activity and making the reports for that. And now I really like gardening with Mom. She does the work. I'm the brains. It's all great, unless the infamous tomato hornworm shows up. The recommendation is a lot of, you know, of us really struggle in cold weather, so I worked with a company in Canada called Colucci Sports. They make all sorts of adaptive winter equipment for us, you know, stuff that doesn't take a half hour to get into. And the question I have is about assistive technology for accessing computers. A lot of those systems can be very expensive. And I was wondering if anybody has had experience having a payer pay for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So thank you for the comments on your college experience. And then the comment about cold weather, I think, is a is real for some people, and they make adaptive clothing and certainly hand warmers and feet warmers and things like that. So that was great advice. In terms of adaptive technology to help with gaming or computer use, I mean, there are a lot of resources out there. And in a lot of, I can speak for University of Colorado, we have a program called the Center for Inclusive Design and Engineering. So I'm guessing that other big institutions who have programs where engineering is a area of study, that they have these programs where they can really help to identify what the best technology is for an individual who may have some limitations. In terms of getting insurance companies to pay for it, for me, the trick is, because I write a lot of letters of medical necessity as a rehab physician, the key is tying it to something that is medically related. So very concretely, you could easily tell a story about how that technology is going to help you to communicate, how it's going to help you to reach out for emergency assistance, such as 911. So I think as you're working with your physician and physiotherapist, really trying to tell the story and tying it to a medical need, because that's where you're going to get insurance to pay for it. So great question, thank you. Yes.
Hi, Colin Worth, president of the PAC here. Yeah, thank you, Adith, your great presentation, all of you. I didn't have a question, more of an addition to share. I saw in the video there were a lot of pictures of me traveling. Most recent trip you saw, I was in Italy last month, so I've actually done a lot of traveling. I know you briefly touched on this, Sue, but yeah, traveling is one of the things my family and I have come to really enjoy. It's kind of definitely a good family bonding experience, but it's been amazing to travel and see the world. And I mean, yeah, I know that it's difficult, but we're able to make it happen. And I think, yeah, a lot of what Adith and Jason were saying, yeah, we run into obstacles, but we're still able to get out and do these things. So, yeah, with traveling, we've faced barriers, but we've also had lots of wonderful experiences. And I think one thing I wanted to comment that is, although usually in the moment when you have a bad experience, it's really can be traumatic, but a lot of things we look back on through our travels, we look back and laugh on. So I think definitely as an adult looking back on things, I think you always look at the good things that you've done. And I mean, I've always been a positive person and haven't tried not to dwell on negative things, but I think it's definitely looking at things from an older adult perspective. The positives definitely outweigh the negatives.
Colin, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the picture of you at the Coliseum and the canals. That was pretty awesome. So thank you for sharing that. I would love to ask you, don't go anywhere, you, Adith, and Jason, those of you who remember Angela Knight, she always talked about life hacks. And so I would love to hear from the three of you travel hacks. So each of you, your top one travel hack, and what you can share with the audience about how to try to minimize some of the angst and the challenges.
I hate to be a shameless promoter, but I'm kind of a travel planner myself, so happy to be a resource if anybody wants to reach out. But yeah, I've done that for a few families. I helped someone plan a trip to Japan back in February, so definitely have to help there. But I think one of the biggest tips is I've learned go at things with an open mind, so not to be discouraged. I mean, obviously thinking about Italy, there were a lot of obstacles, but we made it work, and that turned out to be a wonderful trip. But yeah, there are always obstacles that you're going to come across, but how you go at it, experience or react to that experience really makes a big difference. So, yeah, trying not to sweat the little things and enjoy those little things instead.
Awesome, thanks. Jason, any hacks you can share?
I mean, really, it sounds silly, but pre-plan. If you're going somewhere, make phone calls, make sure that everything you're going to need or go through, that you're aware of it up front, because the more you can mitigate it before you get there or get in that moment, the better. So don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to be direct. I mean, that's the one thing is you need to be direct. If you need something done a certain way, make sure your voice is heard.
Right. Adith?
Yeah, I think I would say, both of those combined, like have a plan, but if things don't go according to plan, don't panic. There are ways to get around it. I can speak, like 2 experiences. At the last conference, I forgot my shower chair. So we bought like a folding lawn chair. That was my fault. This time we forgot the controller to my lift. Also my fault. But we didn't panic. We figured out, a way to make it work. We borrowed a lift. We speed ordered the controller. We had it delivered here. And, you will run into obstacles, but don't let that frazzle you. Don't let that, don't panic. If you have a plan, you have something to fall back on when things don't go your way.
Awesome.
So
Thank
could
you.
I actually add to that real quick, just talking about travel? The FAA reauthorization for air travel, advocacy is huge, because the way that we've made some kind of headway here is because your efforts and your advocacy. But the one thing I wanted to mention, if people weren't aware, Delta Airlines in collaboration with Biogen has worked together to have this accessibility where power wheelchairs now could go onto planes, and you get, it's a hook down similar to a bus. And so that is supposed to be coming down the pike, they say, by the end of this year, but I'm not sure about that, but it's close. And so all of your work has really led to this. And so all the fears of the power chair going under and getting damaged is coming to a resolution, because now you're able to hopefully just tie down on the airplane.
Yeah, thanks. All right, well, we've run out of time, but before we go on, yes, thank you to PPMD for advocating for those changes with the FAA. So each one of you, Jason, you're first, one sentence to sort of summarize how to enhance social experiences for our young people with Duchenne and Becker.
Be fearless. I said it earlier. Don't be afraid. Duchenne takes enough from our boys, from our families, from us mentally. Don't let being active and social in your communities fear you. Go out and do.
Yeah, kind of the same vibe, but everybody gets their start somewhere. So if you're nervous about trying something new or engaging in something that you've never done before, just try it, and you never know what can come of it. Sometimes it takes a few tries, or it takes a few different activities, sports, whatever it may be, but you never know what can come of it, who you might meet, and yeah.
I'm going to go back to my usual saying, it takes a village, and if there's a will, there's a way. So I think advocacy is huge, and that comes with experience. The more positive experiences you have, the more confidence you have to advocate. So families, individuals with Duchenne, learning to advocate for yourself in order to do what you would like to do.
And I think I would say people out there with Duchenne, if there's something you want to do, do it. You can adapt it to fit your needs. And to the parents out there, help your kids adapt things to fit their needs. Support them so that they can do whatever it is they want.
Awesome. Thank you for those words. Jason, Andrea, Tina, and Adith, thank you all.